Dun, dun, dun,
Hey,
dun.
welcome to Focus Fight for Life podcast.
That's you need that intro music behind you. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead. Do it again. Dun, dun,
Welcome
dun, dun,
to Focus
dun,
Fight for
dun.
Life podcast. I'm Kirk Stevens, and the music man over there is Michael Van Beek.
Hey guys.
And we talk about real life situations that we pull from the news, dissect them, break them down, see what we can learn from them, and how to better counter violence, how to better become people who protect the life we live. And so, yeah, we got a good
We're
one.
on the same mission. So there's a lot of branches of the same tree kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't have that thing. Ours is kind of our attitude about other methodologies of what that means to people is either a yes and or a yes but kind of thing. So we're not really, look, there's enough opinions to go around, but we're really here as a community of saying, hey, listen, man, right? Do something, right? A little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. So
That's right. Yeah.
it's on the docket today, Captain.
We're not here to shame the victims or point out everything they did wrong or anything. I mean, we're no better. We're no different. It's just learning tools for us. Like, what can we learn? What can
really, right? Just sharing and keeping open conversation about our dark topic that doesn't have to be. I mean, it is, right? But if you look at it without the emotion and look at it from a strategic, tactical thing, it would be the same way as if we put smoke detectors. We don't get emotional about it. We put them in our house where it's strategically beneficial for us to, right? Yeah. And so we have to do that with systematically figuring out how we're going to prepare for those things. And I think the first thing to do is accept the fact that that is not a theory. It is actually a probability of violence happening to you in your lifetime. Once you accept that, you can move forward, and that becomes a good conversation you can have, healthy one actually, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. The one of the stoppers I think to conversations is this concept that when violent things happen to people, when you read stuff or hear stuff, that people just write it off like, oh, that's senseless. There's no sense to it, or there's no explaining it. And
I don't believe in no such thing. There's no such thing as random violence. No,
I agree. There's always something you can look back at and evaluate.
Right. There's always going to be one of three driving forces behind violence, but respective of that, I think the conversation just is going like, look, man, and I think it goes back to up until now, the conversation was either about, right, no one got their needs met because you were learning a style and it was Bruce Lee style or it was a jiu-jitsu style or it was a Thai boxing style. Nobody was teaching that person. Everybody was teaching the style. And so there was very contextual relevancy not added to that, right? So I think it makes, for some people, unapproachable because their only speculation is, what am I going to get in MMA? So people make the association of what self-protection or martial arts is by what they're exposed to, i.e. MMA or secret military SEAL guy training, right? So they're kind of stuck between this unapproachable thing. And one of the things I really try to get to people is to tell them that a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. And when you look and examine their walk and autopsy their day and where it would be most likely that violence would hit them, you'll find out that they don't need all that stuff that MMA person needs.
Yeah,
they need to train it hard and rigorously, but the tools are simpler. It's really applying the gross motor stress that's created by walking into your house and seeing some man beating the hell out of your wife, right? That's the real. I don't care what you know at that point. Those are the software, so to speak, and making it approachable. Making it approachable is really the thing that has been missing. Right, Middle America got left out of that. If you weren't a ninja or want to be a martial arts or MMA fighter, you weren't in that conversation. You just showed up at some self-defense thing where they showed you how to escape a wrist grab, and you showed it off at the Christmas party that year, and that was it.
Yeah, and I love the idea of contextual relevancy, because even somebody who's a high-level MMA fighter, for instance, I mean, they understand how to take a punch, how to give a punch. But in the example you gave, you walk into your house and someone's beating the hell out of your wife, like, you're not going to square up with them.
Yeah, it's a different.
Okay, turn around now. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know that they would do awfully bad. Obviously, someone who's been fighting for years against someone trying to hurt them for a long time, I think they'd probably do okay. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Those are helpful, but for that situation,
yes. But there are variables he's never seen before.
Yeah.
Variables you've never seen before. And you might go ahead and take that guy down just because that's what you're trained to do under aggression like that. You do that, and then you get shot in the face.
Yeah.
you get stabbed. I mean, it's a toss up. It's not. It becomes random instead of deliberate. But what's on the docket, man? What are we looking at today?
Sure. Yeah. So the headline is driver pulls over to jumpstart woman's car, but is beaten and robbed in setup. So
don't be nice.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story. That's what you get.
Your life is more important than nice, right? So there was a car on the side of the road pulled over, and a good Samaritan, good-hearted person, and the article calls him a good-hearted motorist, pulls over to help, and is a 58-year-old guy, and then when they waved him over, there was actually two people, and they waved him over, asking for help, and then jumped him, cut him with a knife.
How old? Male, female?
So it was a 58-year-old. The victim was a 58-year-old man, right? 58-year-old man. Yep.
Okay.
And then there was let's see, there was two women. There's two women.
Okay.
Who were the criminals, and they jumped him, and says they slashed him with a small knife on his hand and across the bridge of his nose. So, however that probably was, and then took about $800 from his wallet and took off, and his credit cards and stuff.
Yeah. So the question, again, as we examine this and first look at it, here's an old man helping to stop two young ladies, right? And what does that normally mean? It means normally the guy's going to try to traffic these girls or something, or kidnap them, but no,
it's the other way around. You're right.
These girls turn the table and hit them. So right away, you got to understand there is a huge sense of betrayal.
That's a great point. So yeah, they're waving. So it says they were waving jumper cables. The criminals were. So it's two young ladies. You're right. And they're waving jumper cables on the side of the road. Like, we need help. Can somebody help me? Right. Your heart goes out to them at that point. Yeah. Sure. So the sense of betrayal, like, explain that.
And so this guy says, listen, I'm going to, everything intuitively about me says, don't do it. A, it could be perceived as me trying to do something with these little girls.
There's that. Sure.
B, all of these reasons that would pop into the mind of any intellectual, semi-intellectual person, or just someone who plays it forward a little bit. But to go, you know what? You hear this a lot, and the Lord put it on my heart. Help somebody. Or you'll hear it like, I wanted to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Right? And so they feel, as we all would, some sense of obligatory responsibility to be the person we're called to be, better than other people, yada, yada, yada. That's why they did it, because they know there's people out there like that.
Yeah, from morality. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. And so, one of the reasons we have people fill out risk and fear assessments is to find those holes. Are you that person that would? Okay, so you're a higher risk factor on our rate, and we need to teach you. Your serving size needs to be bigger. If you have a heart of gold and will help a person in need like that, you better be weaponized.
Yeah, more So I want to go back to the site, or I want to touch base on this idea of manipulation too, because this is highly manipulative, right?
Yeah.
When we train people, we talk about criminals using manipulation a lot of times. So for instance, a common one would be, someone approaching
the duress story. Yeah.
I need help. Can you help me?
I'm in peril, please.
Kind of thing. These are manipulative tactics, but that's highly manipulative, and it worked. It really.
That's a lot of predators use that method too to put you on the same team, going, oh, you missed the bus too, or I missed the cab too. Oh, I've been waiting in this waiting room for an hour or two, and there's this bond of empathy that we're going to try and share.
Yeah.
Or have you and so that manipulation it's not a new thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it really. When he pulls over, he really was probably battling. I mean, this is 2018. I don't care where you are in this world. That you have to have, right? If something should run across your mind about, I should probably, you know what? I'm going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Young, can I help you? Okay, yeah, sure. Next thing you know, they start hitting you with something. I don't know what it is. Boom, boom. You feel them taking the stuff. And then you're just like, and then they leave. And then you're just like, wow, that just happened.
The sense of betrayal. You're right. The sense of betrayal and being manipulated like that to such a degree. It wasn't like
now again. Now you're not going to really just fixate on that event, are you? If you're that person, you've been betrayed by doing the right thing.
the right thing.
The right thing is not no longer right. So I think that is, those things are in the pond of cultivating a society whereby nobody wants to help anybody anymore.
Yeah. That's a worldview shaping and shifting type of thing that could happen to you. Like, I'm here to help people. Nobody, like I should not help anyone.
When you drank that one whiskey when you were a kid and you got so sick that you'd never drink that again, and the mere smell of it made you, that one experience changed you forever, right? And using that weird analogy, but it's very true. Just to bring it home to how you would experience that. Yeah, I'm not helping. Yeah, no. I'm not. Next time I hear that thing that says do the right thing, next, try the next guy. And that is a world change, and it does change the way things. I mean, there have been laws like the Samaritan law, there's other things been put in place to help those people. But in that moment, that sense of betrayal, I feel, is probably real for that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's bigger philosophical questions with all that.
Let me ask you the question, though.
And all that.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you the question.
Yeah.
You're the dude. You got two girls jumping you. What do you do?
Yeah, right.
Listen.
Yeah.
Good girls. Tell the story either way you want. But either way, you just knocked two girls out who broke down on the side of the road.
That's a great point, too. I'll tell you what. When violence hits, like that can't be a consideration, really. They were slashing at him with a knife. Somebody was. They cut him.
Yeah.
So that could have been a hesitancy, too. That could actually increase that betrayal. But, violence is violence. And that's why I think it's good to talk about violence as an entity.
But what I want to, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What I want to stop for a second is in that minute that you realize the betrayal is up. And that girl's like, yeah, could you put it? You get down under the hood. You kind of scan to your left because you were stupid, but you're not dumb. Right? Yeah. So you look to one way, you don't see this girl, all of a sudden, boom, you cover. At that moment, when you have to fight, there's going to be a choice that runs through your mind. She's a girl. Do I hit her? This man's over the side of the road to help these girls. He's a decent dude, or whatever the situation is. And then I got to hit this girl. I pulled over. Now I got to hit her. I pulled over to help her. Now I got to hit her.
Yeah,
right?
That's a great point.
What I'm saying is I think, we talk about Hick's law. We talk about variables that will impede in your decision-making reaction time and all that, how that
absolutely
works otherwise, right? And so when we train, we try to create a flow of at least 3 or 4 different things so they happen automatically, right? But when you're impeded by that, that's what causes that fall behind the power curve. They already had it by the element of surprise and manipulation, obviously.
Yeah.
But the minute you entered of should I or should I not, you fell further.
So let's track back a little bit here. So Hick's law, I know we've talked about it before, but Hick's law is the more variables you introduce, the more time it takes to respond, like exponentially, right? Each variable increases your response time, which decreases your chances of actually getting out unscathed or alive, right?
So the odds continue to dissipate.
Yeah. So we want to eliminate as many variables as possible.
Yeah, if you're always chasing the tail at that point, you can never overtake the power curve unless your initiation is direct, and you can't be direct if you're in responding to what he's doing. I have to put this away. Now I have to draw this. I have to put this away. I can't just draw the gun anymore. I have to draw. And I'm in many cases, rightfully so, I'm not arguing against the law. I'm just stating that if that's what's going to happen, then train that accordingly. Right? So if you want to change the law, change the law. I could care less. We'll have to train that too.
Right.
But every time a man pulls out a gun, whether he's a cop or not a cop, the only thing he falls into is, I have a family at home that loves me. I lose sight of being a police officer, and I just become a guy with a gun trying to save his life.
Right.
I guarantee it. That's the problem in training. But you can't train that, right? And furthermore, we can go all day on that, and we have to say that for another day. But it bodes towards training. Right?
Absolutely. So the major variables I see here that are really going to take some time to process through for this guy or for anybody, the moral indignation, like the sense of betrayal, that can really cause you to sit still, right? Like, how could you possibly
freeze? Yeah. Oh my, are you kidding me right now? This is not really happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and then of course the girl thing,
flight or freeze. So
Yeah. So you have two major, wait a second, what should I do here? Two major variables here that could really cause somebody to pause. That actually, yeah, I actually hadn't thought personally about the guys that I train, flipping the gender on it and saying, because we train for violence, okay, what if this is a girl doing this?
Yeah. Now what?
Now what?
Hey, I'll tell you, more and more. I mean, I grew up in the hood, and you still didn't hit women.
Yeah.
There was something there. And that if you did, you were even in jail. If you hurt a woman and got in jail for, and I remember this guy in the next cell over me, something about a 13-year-old girl rape and so on and so forth. He got shot by the cops with a big scar up there. Anyway, I heard him tell some guy in the joint, he something else, all right? He couldn't say he did something against a female. So there was that honor. But I'm telling you, these days,
it's different, huh?
I've seen grown men partake in mass attack on women.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is, if you're going to swing on a man, he's going to swing on you back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's the world we live in. And so I don't, like I said, I wasn't raised that way. Even in the hood, we didn't do that then. But it's a different time now. And so the idea isn't I can stand outside and picket it, or I can just prepare for that inevitability.
Yeah.
Right? The girls will swing on me. And you know what? I have to, in defense of myself. Well, they're just a couple girls. Man, they had a knife on this guy. They took his stuff.
So, yeah, mass attack, there's two people, which is exponentially dangerous, and then weapon. So they're weaponized, multiple people attacking.
Yeah, on an ambush, right? On a manipulated ambush. On the side of the road, in public.
Right.
Not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's a huge issue. Then they went out, I see here, they went out and spent his credit card. They got pictures of him. Yeah, they
went out right away.
His money, ballsy, right? Not even.
Yeah, so that's a good point too. It wasn't like we talk about manipulation for isolation and privacy.
Yeah.
But
in this
they
case,
weren't looking for that. They were just looking for that hit, that quick hit.
Quick hit, yeah.
Quick hit.
Boom, boom, boom. We'll make a move. And you catch me, I'll deny it. And we'll go through this process, and maybe I do at the end of maybe I do 30 days. So what? Kind of thing. Right. And so all those elements, when you break them down, that falls under that falls under the Good Samaritan. And we talk about transit, right? That places that you could be accosted or experience violence in transit in terms of carjacking, kidnapping, or carjacking, kidnapping. Yeah. Right. Just road rage.
Yep. Road rage.
Right.
In and out of your car, those transitions. Right.
Right. We haven't gone through the part about helping somebody who's, that falls in just a Good Samaritan. I mean, again, that's such a huge setup. And right. I think there's a place where those people are considered kind of, you're scummy people. You ask someone for help, and then in that process of asking for help, hurt that person. Right. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to roll up in a wheelchair next? What are you going to do? You know what I mean?
That is a pretty big betrayal. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I think.
So what would you do here then? So you said at the beginning, don't stop and help them.
Yeah. And you know what? Ask me how many times people go, you know what, man, I want to, but no. I want to, but no. Yeah. I do it. I want to, but no. Because what? I got kids, I got family, I got stuff. We all have stuff now. We're older. We got more years probably behind us and in front of us. And this is why self-protection is an issue. It's why these things are important to us, because I want to look out for it. And so I might be a bit more cautious about my life because my values have gone up. The people responsible for me making it through that door should come in my mind. I used to give homeless people money all the time. And I remember giving a homeless guy money that came to my wife's window, my ex-wife's window. And she looked at me like, I thought you of all people would have, and it hit me because at the time I was such a bleeding heart, right? And I was like, I'm helping this guy out. I'm helping him out. What I really did is I opened up a window to a stranger between me and my
sure.
Stranger really wasn't big. So I had
manipulating, yeah.
Now there was a bigger picture at play. I have to be more cautious. I have to think deeper into that play.
I think that's really interesting, and it is a pretty nuanced thing, and it's complex because your ethics might say, I want to help people, so I help people when I see it. But is that a greater value than I want to go home safely to my family, who's my bigger responsibility?
Well, priorities, even if, the most moral giving people in the world, whether they're secular or religious, are going to say that you prioritize. You can't help anybody unless you are good. Right? So
Right.
your family, your house, your tribe, your thing has to be good. Right? And so that's the thing that you always measured against. Does this run the risk of me not making it back? Hey, you know what? You guys need me to call somebody? I can't help you, but I'll call somebody.
Right.
So is there that happy medium? You know what? You're right. I do want to help somebody, but I think they're well aware of the danger they may be in. And I need to be aware that I may be in danger, because I can't let the bad shit that happens in the world affect how I treat people. So can I do a happy medium? Yes, absolutely. You can drive up. You can keep, when we talked about with the road rage, keeping your vehicle weaponized. You don't weaponize your vehicle with the weapon you have on you. You weaponize you with the weapon. You weaponize that vehicle with an additional weapon.
Right.
Because you're acquiring that weapon from a seated position is a hell of a lot harder than acquiring a plate, right?
It's like
so
digging your keys out,
so,
right? That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, so you have all that. So you can do things. And police would recommend that if someone walks up to your window and you're stranded, you knock on the window, you don't roll it down. Well, the other person is going, can you call somebody? Don't help me, right? So if the situation is reversed and those girls did need help and that guy was the thing, they should have waited in the car and been like, yes, could you do that for me? Thank you. If you're a gentleman with your weight in salt, you'll do the jump of the car for them. Right. And so I think when you walk it through, you say, you know what? I can be a good person. I can stop over and offer help in this fashion. I might not be able to get out and rebuild their engine on the spot, but I can call somebody for them. Is their cell phone? What's going on? And again, you have to ask yourself that question. In today's time and age, how come either one of you girls don't have a cell phone you can't call somebody with that you would stand out and flag down a complete stranger? Think about that.
Right.
Right? All of these things are the software to our hardware. So we could be the baddest martial arts in the world and wind up on the bad end of a serious problem in this situation because we put our emotions in front of the thinking, right? And saying, why are these girls hanging out with, look at these young girls. Why are they doing that? They're going to get themselves hurt.
Right.
Somebody's going to do something to them.
Right.
Or they're going to do something to somebody else.
And that's a good point too. Like asking for my daughter, I've told her if you get stranded on the side of the road, you call me. You get a hold of me, you call this person, or you call this person, or you call this person. So yeah, that's a good point. And
yeah, and so look at and we obviously have talked about it, right? The technical aspects of how would he have fought that off? It's 2-on-1 with a blade in an ambush.
That's tough. Oof.
Do your best to get back to your vehicle.
Yeah, down here, right?
Yeah.
Let alone that you've got traffic on one side of you. You're on a road. So
wait, did they take his car too?
No. Mm-mm. No, they didn't.
Wow, slashed him with a knife across the bridge of his nose. She was going for the money, wasn't she?
Yes.
Right across his face. She was going for the money.
It even says the surveillance photos they have, they're two grinning women using the credit card.
Yeah, payday, chump.
Yeesh.
Yeah, so there's really no tactical advantage you can do here. When you put yourself in front of the gun, and it's a shame that it's two ladies begging for help, because now every time you see a lady, you're going to go, you know what? I don't trust her.
What if you can see that it's a woman with kids? Does that change it?
Man, look, experience will tell you and determine and direct you, right? We know this. So your experience in violence versus someone else's experience in violence. Now, when you stand out in front of one of the Chicago hockey arena, man, parents send their kids out to beg.
Yeah.
Get money.
Yeah.
Because they get more money that way.
Sure.
And so do I think you wouldn't be above using your kid in a ruse?
That's true.
You make twice as much money.
Yeah, and someone who's strung out on drugs, they don't care, right? I mean, for instance, like it makes it a lot easier to use your kids.
Yeah, right. And then you say, how could you use your kid? Don't you mean, yeah, yes, because you would never do it. So we know when we see those things are a product because we see the world as we see ourselves, right? So because we would never do those things, we speculate that other people can't. And it's what is what the predator preys on the most is your ignorance of that dark reality. I hate to tell you, it's the game that did it to you. You fell prey to the game.
Yeah, really.
You know? Back in the day, I had friends of mine hustle me for all kinds of money. And I'm like, what? I thought we were friends. Mike, you know, this is what I do. You got, come on. Wow. So there is no ethics when it comes to honor among thieves kind of thing. Yeah, there's no ethics there. I mean, I've seen people sell crack to pregnant women. I've seen all kinds of stuff where you go, wow. You think you've seen it all until you, oh man, wow, that guy helped those girls out and they jumped him, they stabbed him, they sliced him, took his stuff, spent his money, didn't think twice, right? And because we have some value about life. I mean, that's why we're training, because we value ourselves, our life, our families. We want to be able to protect it. And not like some crazy movie thing, but I just want to go and take 4, 6, 8 hours of some training and talk about this kind of stuff like it might happen, because it does every day. And that's why we read this stuff. Because what you see on the news, you'll see at your door tomorrow. You know what I mean? Happens everywhere.
It's everywhere to any kind of person. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, and I think, man, and again, this really strikes. That's what people move for. That's why they run. That's why they run away from that stuff. They try to run to a place where those kinds of people don't live. People tribally stay in certain clans and have at least the same, right? If everybody is pulling out of the same river and someone comes along and says, well, we pee in our river. And I'm like, wait, you're messing up everything for everybody. So people tend to flock where they feel they are safest from that. However, no place is that far away that a criminal won't find such a soft target as one who feels comfortable leaving the door open for the neighbors.
Absolutely. And driving down the road, right? I mean, this is on a road. So
yeah, man, I've seen it. I've seen it. I chased a guy one time. I live in a decent neighborhood. I chased a guy one time. I looked out the door. I was like, man, this guy's walking around checking doors if doors are open. Right?
Yeah.
Little average white looking dude wandering around, kind of looked like he could be selling insurance or something. You know? So people are out there, man, all kinds of different things. And you walk in on somebody and they have to deal with either going to jail or going through you. Train for that.
Absolutely. Well, these girls, I didn't mention this before, but one of them, the victim tried to fight back initially, and one of them bit him, and then that's when the other one slashed. So that's how that went down. So they attacked him, and one of them bit him. I mean, they were on it, right?
Man, you know, we do this thing. Listen, you know, I spent about 20 years plus in security all over Chicago and other states as well, but mainly here in Chicago. And I really, really enjoyed working in the hardcore joints, you know, the biker joints, or, you know, whether I'm the only white dude and all Mexican or all black, I didn't care, right? It was just being in the middle of all of that violence all the time. So I wanted to work in those places. And so, man, those women, they can fight, bro. Make no mistake. Those women throw from the streets, and they throw for, you know, I mean, I've seen women rip their own clothes off and not care and continue to fight. So I think part of the story here is underestimating your opponent, right?
Well, violence is going to go until it gets what it wants, right?
Right. So it's gonna kidnap any entity it wants, whether it's female or gender. So there is a percentage of populace of America who believes in some general gender neutrality kind of thing. Men can do, women can do what men can do. And there's a lot of women in the streets who believe that and will come at you with a blade to your throats. Make no mistake, don't get it twisted, because she's all pretty and stuff. She will come and cut your throat out.
She slashed him across the bridge of his nose. So she was slashing at his head.
Yeah, she's going for money, for sure. Now, man, you know, like I said, so the deviousness of the ambush is based on that misleading of people and that betrayal of goodness that I've done. And I thought the gentlest of our creatures, the feminine, the female,
in need, right? The damsel in distress.
And I get to scratch that itch of doing something good for myself. I'm going to help some people. I'll tell some stories. I help some people out. Next thing you know, I'm calling freaking ambulance because I got cut across the nose, because these women used that perception of them as being people who wouldn't do that to their advantage, did they not?
Yeah.
Sure they did. And then they said, well, I can do anything you can do, and I'm going to cut you in your face and take your stuff. And so, and if somebody says something, I'll just say you tried to rape me or something.
Well,
right?
yeah, geez.
And so who wants to believe that there's women out there like that? Nobody. But man, I think those things, along with the realities that we face about our world through social media that we come in contact with, we go, wow, didn't think that was, wow. Yeah. And so keep those in terms of a safety thing. Like, you know what? I want to help somebody, but you know what? I've learned that I don't want to get hurt in the process. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to offer help, and maybe not in the way that they want in terms of maybe finances, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's support. I help, like, can I call somebody, or can I, you need a flat? I'd like to help you change your tire, but I don't want to bust me in the back of the head. So
Right.
Is there anything else I can do for you right now? Are you by your, you know what I'm saying? Can I call somebody for you? Because obviously in today's age, you have to expect that those people have a cell phone. I see it all the time. People pulling up, people can help you. No, I got someone coming.
Yep, absolutely. Same thing.
You know, so I guess, I mean, and isn't that messed up? So, I mean, that bears the question is helping someone on the side of the road even a thing? Is it a relevant thing?
Well,
or should you just figure, man, this is set up.
yeah, if I see somebody on the side of the road, I will assume they have a cell phone. If I see them and they're sitting there, it looked like it just happened, and they don't have a phone in their hand, I've done it before where I've slowed down and said, do you have a cell phone? Do you need me to call somebody? Do you have a cell phone is what I've said. Do you have one?
Yeah. So there's ways around that. But you know what? I think what we're saying here in Focus is the reason we're trying to do any of what we're doing is to increase the quality and value of our life. And it sucks that we have to do that and question the goodness that's in our heart and how to help people. It kind of does suck, right? Because part of the reason we train is to be a better person for better people and influence people and become all the stuff that everybody tells us we can be. And I think that part of that is dealing with a hard reality, right? And creating boundaries, right? There's a time for, the Oprah Hallmark kind of thing. And there's a time for a more surgical kind of, or a more soldier type of attitude.
Making tough decisions, right?
Yeah,
it's making tough decisions.
You know what? Before you go help somebody, why don't you CSI that a little bit? Figure that out, play that forward,
Yeah.
Can I help you, girls? Yeah, I need you to come over here. I'd like to, but what do you need? What's wrong with your car? Why don't you tell me what's wrong with it first? It won't start. Well, can you try to start it? Let me hear it. You know what? Let me call somebody. Just come over here. You can kind of tell, right?
Right.
Tell on themselves a little bit.
If you say, let me call somebody, yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, nah, we don't need any help. We're like, oh, man. Now I got to call the cops on you, right?
Yeah.
Right? And most police officers will do that. They will pull up on some stranded people. If you're stranded, they'll pull up on you.
Yeah.
And get that taken care of. So that's one thing you can count on. If you want to help somebody, call the police.
Yep. So part of training, get training, right? And part of training is learning scenarios and learning how to create boundaries and how to think through boundaries before any kind of violence happens.
It's healthy to say no.
Yeah.
Right now, if you wake up and you say, wow, those two girls were murdered 5 minutes after I left, and you hear some terrible news stories, you might want to feel guilty about that. I get it. Right. But be smart about it. Like you said, healthy boundaries, say no and call the police. Say, listen, these two girls on the side of the road. I want to help them. And I figured this was the best way to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's an interesting one, huh?
Yeah, because it has to do more about the software and the cerebralness of it all than it does the chivalry of dun-dun-dun.
Right. Or the techniques to use to
Yeah. I couldn't get out of that situation. The best way to avoid, we always say this in the game is that, when people say, well, the ultimate smart ass question for any kind of counter violence or self-protection or self-defense is, well, what do you do against a bullet? I don't put myself in front of the gun is what I don't do. That's why I don't have to dodge bullets if I don't put myself in front of the gun. And a lot of times we find ourselves doing that, whether it's through lacking in preparatorial stuff, keeping poor predatorial or threat recognition, or just being an idiot, putting ourselves and making bad decisions. So, in this particular guy, I feel bad for this person. I really do, because he was doing the right thing. I hope it doesn't deter anybody from doing the right thing, but that's what these things do. And it's a terrible shame.
Well, I'd rather people go home safe to their family than, than do the right thing.
That's
the right thing, ultimately.
So tell us what you guys think. So tell us in the comment section on the YouTube channel what you guys think about this. It's an interesting topic. We're going to move on up to some home invasion stuff in a couple weeks here, Matt. It's going to get good.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the difference between martial arts and what we do and what it's like to experience violence firsthand and like that. So, Kirk, man, have an awesome one, brother.
Yeah, you too. Good talking.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
See you.